This was our kitchen flooring, and I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't install it properly. But what I did do is learn from all the mistakes I made so I can tell you how to avoid them whilst I'm fitting this brand new flooring, giving you some really handy tips along the way. The LVT flooring I laid when we moved into our house was decent enough, but it was very tinny underfoot, and as you can see here, there's a few areas where the joins are actually split. The main reason for this was the subfloor underneath it. I laid self-leveling compound originally, and because it was the first time I'd used it, I expected far too much from it. I assumed, wrongly, that I could pour it and it would self-level enough to lay the floor over. That was mistake number one. So how to avoid this, I hear you ask? I could have done a couple of things. One, do the main self-leveling pour and then check for any deviations. Then spot fill it by troweling and feathering more compound to make the floor much flatter. Or two, I could have laid a plywood subfloor, which would have left us with a much flatter surface to lay the flooring onto. You'll also notice there's adhesive on the flooring. Let me explain that. LVT is a floating flooring system, so no adhesive is required. The reason I stuck some planks down with silicone was because I started at the door and I laid half of the floor, and then it suddenly wasn't flat anymore. At this point, I assumed it was a one-off area. The issue was, the further I went, the more problem areas I was finding, and I ended up sticking a lot of planks down. What I should have done is stopped at the first sign of issues and checked the rest of the floor, and then sorted the issue. But I kind of trapped myself into a corner by siliconing those first few boards. So a tip before you even start thinking about laying the first slab is to triple check that your floor is flat enough. Your flooring will usually give you tolerances for how flat it needs to be. Right, so how am I going to fix this? I was originally going to use self-leveling compound, but I had my dad staying at the time and he suggested using car body filler, as it was quicker drying, could be done in one spot at a time, and it was a little bit more workable than the self-leveler. So I went round marking all of the problem areas, and he mixed up some filler and started to fill the voids. Tip number two is using a light over the floor to highlight any problem areas. This floor looked perfectly flat with overhead light until you put a light across it, and then suddenly it looked like a canyon. I got this Latour light sent to me, and it was perfect for this job. It's a work light, so it's not going to have any issues with getting dirty or knocked around, and being a bar, it spreads the light nicely across the floor. I would definitely try and shine a light across the floor before starting it, as it shows so many things that you don't spot without it. With all of the problem areas skimmed over, we could then sand these flat and sand any of the high spots from the self-leveler. This turned out to be a much quicker and painless way to go than pouring more of the self-leveling compound. The issue with the self-leveler is that the area becomes unusable whilst it's drying, and basically every room in our house is accessed from the kitchen, so it would have meant everyone else in the house would have had to have been trapped in certain rooms for a few hours. Not really ideal with a toddler. On to laying now, and with the prep done properly this time, this should be the easy bit. The new flooring I'm fitting is SPC stone composite flooring that was kindly provided by spcflooringstore.com. This is actually a really easy flooring to fit once you get the hang of it. I'm starting at the door threshold and I'm trimming away the architrave to fit it under here, which I didn't do previously. I use a piece of plywood the same thickness as the flooring to use as a spacer, and then I use the multi-tool to cut it. I'm cutting my first piece so that the second board tucks under the skirting board. And all you do to cut this is score with a knife and snap it. Narrow long cuts can be tricky, but you can also use a saw for these. For this particular flooring, I'm using a brick bond pattern. So I'm lining up each row staggered, so the middle of the plank is where the next two boards join. The boards simply click together by putting one in at an angle and then pressing them together or tapping them with a block or mallet. Just be careful not to damage the tongues whilst doing this. Tip 3 is that the floor doesn't have to be snooker table flat. It just needs to be level over a distance. A few ups and downs don't matter the flooring will mould to a gentle shape. The issues occur is when you have small voids or sudden high or low spots. To best test this out, just lay a few boards down and then tap them to see if they're lying flat or if they sound tinny. If they're tinny, it means there is a void below, which is what caused all of my issues in the first place. Once the first few rows are in, the pace of the job really increases as you lay longer rows. I managed to get this full floor done in just a day. The benefits of this flooring over the LVT that we previously had is its durability. Both are waterproof, so ideal for the kitchen, but the SPC is more dent resistant. And after chipping a few areas of our LVT, it makes sense to fit. It also has a built-in underlay, which should make it more comfortable to walk on. And it'll also reduce that tinny sound that we had on the old flooring if we do happen to have any little undulations left on the subfloor. I actually found that laying out the rows and then joining them all together was the best way to go. And then went along making sure that all the gaps are fully closed. If you don't close the gaps fully, you're going to have issues moving forward. I used an offcut of flooring as a tapping block, fitting this to the row and then knocking it with a mallet to click it together. I had my dad helping me out towards the end, so it made the final stretch a little bit easier, especially with a few more tricky cuts to have to deal with. One could cut whilst the other one fitted the planks. Once all the boards were down, I finished off any edges that couldn't be tucked under skirtings with some trim that was painted white to match. And I used this opportunity to freshen the skirting boards up too. This is another handy use of the Latour light, making painting white onto white much easier. With a lick of paint complete, I used some of the spare flooring as a temporary plinth. The cupboard doors are being replaced soon, so I'll be making plinths then, but I couldn't live with the grey ones with this new flooring looking so good. And there we have it, all done, and I'm dead chuffed with how this one's turned out. And hopefully if you're fitting flooring in the future, you'll learn from all the mistakes that I made last time, meaning that you won't have to replace yours so soon. If this video's helped you out and you've made it all the way to the end, why not subscribe to the channel for more videos like this one. As always, thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one.